Hi everybody, welcome to my channel for new battle report. So this is the second practice game that I did with the list that I was bringing to a tournament. So at least I got to battle with the list just to feel a bit better what does every unit on the table. Obviously most of the list was already known, so it's not nothing too new for me to play this list, but just getting used to the Tusker and the interaction between the units more. But the rest, I mean, the core idea of the list remains the same, that the one that I play quite a lot last year during the summer. So yeah, I was feeling okay not having practiced too much before the tournament. I was training against one of my teammates, was playing a Demon Legion list that you can see here. Basically it's an MSU list with 4 scoring units, quite a lot of units, 2 potential chaff between the Gremlins and the Furies. A shooty harvester, so he has 3 monsters, very strong magical setup, incredibly strong magical setup. So yeah, I was eager to train again against such a list, to see how I can cope with MSU. It's always a kind of a challenge, and to make it harder, I always try to discuss with my opponent what he wants to try for the training. And I think here Spoil of War and Marching Column is a very interesting combination, because it's not easy to get board control against an MSU list. And being Spoil of War won't be so easy to play, so it was going to be interesting. And obviously Marching Column as well, because my deployment, I think it is much better on Marching Column than me playing an MSU. It's not like me relying on BSB bubble and stuff like that. Here you have both spell selection that we pick for this game, matchup analysis. So we need board control, it will matter, and the DL, I expect him to move forward because I have some good range damage, so it won't be so easy to get to those spoils. I need to keep in mind the fact that he has snipes, so I could put all 3 characters within the mercs if needed to have magical resistance on all of them. I need to be a bit careful, but also he has to be careful too, because his snipe machine, the Sugulag, has to be careful for my poison shot, because if he remains at range multiple turns, he might be at risk. So I think I could use the merc to push him back, and if he wants to be in range to snipe me, he will be in range to get shot too. So this is interesting. My Great Can be dangerous for both Greater Demon. They are not so strong in combat, they are very good defensively, because obviously Cyberrush is hard to hit, Suglak is hard to wound, so both of them are kind of solid, but their damage output is not so crazy, so definitely the Great Can has some chance to fight them. Poison Shot, I have some juicy target. Obviously Greater Demon will be my prime target, but Orb Harvester too can be very annoying, so I need to be careful if I don't want him to shoot my merc, reduce them, and then I can lose very precious Poison Shot that are quite important in the matchup. So I need to be careful about the position between where he puts his harvester and where do I want to put my mercs. Giant will be helpful, definitely has a task in my weak flank to slow down, and the giant special rule is very good against army like demon that don't have any leadership reroll. It can definitely hurt some march check. My estimation of the matchup was drawish. I think he has a slight advantage maybe on secondary, since he will try to be slightly more aggressive than me, I guess, but still I have some good chances because my units are kind of hard to break and go through. So this is deployment. I won the roll for side, wasn't too happy. Obviously I would have preferred to start on Marching Column, because you already see a good part of the opponent's army, and here also especially picking the side didn't matter much because it's very symmetrical. We have here impossible, that's in the middle of the board, doesn't change much. So it was just a case of taking the cover, basically denying him to have some cover against my shooting. In exchange, give him a wall and some water, so it didn't matter that much. I would have preferred to lose that roll. And what we deploy first, so he decided to start on this part of the board. He started to deploy, obviously, put down Lemurs, then Furies, then Engine, and my first 3-drop, where I started from the opposite side to try to mess up a little bit with what he might expect from me regarding will I going to go very compact to the right or more expand. So I wanted to mess up a little bit with him. I put my giant on the left, some bruisers and a cat. And after that, so he went with Cyberrush of there, Orders, Myrmidon in the middle, Veil Serpent, Sugulag, the chariot and the imps towards the left. So it's very split around the boards. Some more infantry, solid unit in the middle, and then the fast mover towards the flanks, basically. And also scoring wise, so 2 in the middle and 1 on each flank, so I could possibly play for all 3 spoils. And obviously, yeah, I had in mind the fact that I could deploy strong on the right, but I wanted to try to see if I could deploy quite centrally, but I think I deployed like it was all the ground, because it doesn't make much sense, since I'm not in a strong spot to go for this spoil, not in a strong spot to go for this spoil, so basically I don't think my deployment make a lot of sense here. But yeah, I put some tribesmen, Bruiser, Frosty, Death Star with the Great Khan, Merc with Shaman and BSB, and my Tusker. I wanted to get some cover from the field and get the reroll up to the Bruiser as well. So that was the idea. He's turn 1. So basically, yeah, he moved here to the side. He also moves a bit to the side, so I try really to split his forces to force me to take choices, which is kind of smart. He also tried to minimize my shots from the Merkwarts. Then in Magic, he got Touch of the Reaper against my Giant. That was going to be an annoying piece on this left part of the board. Took 2 wounds off. I Dispel Twisted Effigy against my Merc because I had 8 shots against him turn 1, so I wanted to have those shots. And Hereditary here, he tried to capitalize on one of my mistakes. I should have been 3 wide. Make no sense to deploy like that, because the spear go through and could force panic check, which is a bit stupid. Fortunately for me, he did only 2 wounds, so no panic here to take. And with shooting, he did another 2 wounds. With imps that moved long range, he still did 2 wounds to my Giant, which was a bit fortunate and slightly annoying for me, because I have only 3 wounds left on my Giant. My turn 1. So I decided to tell him use the Giant as bait, because I only have 3 wounds left. Force him to deal with me, and if he doesn't, maybe I could charge stuff. So that was my idea. I make sure that he has no overrun, no matter what kind of combo charge he throw at me. It's impossible that the Chariot or Sugulag have an overrun against the Tusker. And then I use my unit to zone a bit left part of the board, put the shooting in range to Sugulag, push a bit in the center with my Death Star. Basically, I consider that Frosty was scary enough for him to think twice where I want to sit. I think I can hold in place stuff. I have chaff at my disposal, so even if he tried to push hard towards the middle, I could always delay a little bit his aggression. And in the meantime, I also wanted to be aggressive in the center to not let this unit threaten my flanks and just be sitting behind the wall peacefully. So I wanted to threaten him a bit and say to him, if you stay like that, I could charge you next turn, and then let's see what happens, because if I mess with the center, then I could push towards one side, and it could be hard for these 3 pieces to come toward me afterwards. So that was a little bit the idea. And yeah, reform here to correct my mistake. These guys also reposition. The cat moved towards center, but still quite far away, because I didn't want to get killed by snipes or Hereditary. In the Magic Phase, I cast Trial of Phase, but he dispelled that on his Sugulag. I got a Comet off, Wrath of God, put it here behind this center, wanted to mess a little bit with his central unit that don't move that well. It's always the same with Wrath of God. I think it's interesting to target the unit that don't move that well, because you're sure that you're going to have an impact. And by putting it behind his lines, I made sure that if you want to move back, you're sure to get hit by Wrath of God, and if you don't want to, you have to move forward, which is in my favor. So that was my idea. He's turn 2, so slightly more aggression. The Gremlins came on the board, and here, I miscalculated a little bit, because I thought I didn't play against the Gremlins since a long time, and I didn't check carefully the rule, but basically he just had to touch the 6-inch. What I had in mind was the fact that he had to be within 6-inch with all the models, like for example the creation of unit from Vampire Covenant. So that wasn't the case. He could have chaffed my Tusker, but he decided not to. Instead, he went for chaff in the center and put himself in position to be ready to multiple charge me. In case I go charge this unit, I have to be ready to be at least triple charge or quadruple charge, which is very scary for me. He moved the engine forward, but can't shoot me this turn. So next turn it will be possible, not this turn. But yeah, this scoring unit is in trouble, I guess. And he decided not to move much, move backwards a little bit with the chariot and more to the center with balls. What surprised me is that he put the Veil Serpent quite close from the Wrath of God, which was a slight surprise for me. We'll see. And also orders get in position to threaten the flank of my Frost Mammoth. In the magic phase, I dispel Twisted Effigy on my mercs. Obviously, I wanted to continue shoot at Sugulag. I didn't do anything last turn, but yeah, I wanted to try again. What else? So he got touch of the Reaper that he did 1 wound to my giant, and then he tried to be a bit greedy and fail Aston the Hour. With shooting, he did only 1 wound to me, meaning I was still alive with 1 wound. So that was going to be very interesting for my giant because I have some good charges that I can take. Wrath of God comes down, did 4 wounds to the Veil Serpent and 6 wounds to the Myrmidon, which was really nice to get because it weakened a little bit his center and makes the possible matchup for my Death Star a bit better. My turn 2, so try to be a bit patient in the center. I took the charge with Giant. I had the choice between going against Chariot, but yeah, he has some high agility, so he could kill me. My best chance not to die was going against the Imps, and I get rid of a scoring unit of some magic. I thought that was the best move. I strike before him with like 12 attack plus impact hit, so I have good chance to survive this and still be annoying for him. Here I went for an aggressive move by pushing my Tusker on the secondary, thinking that the double charge for him was a bit risky. If he failed one, it could be in big trouble. And also I wanted to buff a little bit magic, shoot at Sugulag, try to do maybe 2 wounds in order that he don't want anymore to fight with them. And then I take an advantage on the secondary. So that was the idea. We'll see if it was the right move or not. And then center, I backed a little bit with my Death Star because I was in trouble. Obviously, it's a bit annoying because Gremlins now can possibly march and chaff me again, but nothing I can do. I repositioned the dart to be ready in case he charged me. I can take that down with my Bruiser. This is important. Reposition the cat as well. Those guys, they just back, they move slightly forward, and I had plenty of options with the Frosty. I could either push forward 12 and position myself here to be a threat, but he could charge me and then it's very dicey combat, so I didn't like that. Then I could position myself slightly on the hill as a kind of bait, throw 2 spears at Cyberesh, but not likely to do much because I hit only on 5+, and then wound on 4+, and he has a ward save, so I'm not sure to do anything. And then he could basically double charge my Frost and I could die. And in the meantime, even if I put my Frost forward, the fact that the Death Star can be easily chaff 1 or 2 times was for me the main factor why I decided to put back, just move him back as a counter charger. I have enough time and just far away from the order at the moment. I needed to be more patient here in the middle because he has quite many things to threaten me and only 2 units looking at him. In my magic phase, so the giant was a 6 on 2 dice, so I was happy to get that. It was the big card. I tried Wrath of God with 4 dice but fail. It dispelled Trial of Faith against Sugulag. I got Hereditary on the Tusker to boost them, and then with remaining 2 dice, I think I should have put +1 to hit on them to just secure this combat, but I decided to go with Chilling on the shooting weapon, try to be annoying for him. Shooting wise, I did only 1 wound to him, but he saved that, so I did nothing this turn again. And then here I just kill all except 2 or 3. He strikes with like 3 attacks, didn't do anything, and then I just overrun out of line of sight, so perfect. My giant did something good. His turn, he decided to go for it. I failed the charge on 8 Swift Stride, and now this is big trouble for him because the Chariot is alone against Tusker with Children of Umi. Not an easy fight, so I think this was quite a decisive moment in the battle. This is also why I was saying that if I would have put another Rod of Battle, for example, I think it makes it even harder for him to go. But I knew that if he took the charge, it was also going to be a big risk for him because he's going to lose the Chariot, and then as soon as I reduce the amount of threat in his army, I think the match goes in my favor basically. He double chaffed me, so Gremlins against them to avoid any charges. These guys chaffed my Death Star. He put the order on the secondary, but I think it's kind of hard to hold that for another 3 turns. Move Cyberesh in front of my small unit, or out of line of sight of the Frosty. I decided not to take I should have last turn, I think, because yeah, he's going to shoot at me and get rid of me at some point. I think last turn I had the charge on an 11-2 dice. I think I should have taken it because I had a small chance to do something rather than just die. And they move on secondary as well. Magic Face. I Binding Scroll, Spectral Blade. I Dispel, -1 toughness, and then he got Smite, Miscasting, killing a Veil Serpent. And he gets Smite of -1 toughness on me, which has only effect on the impact hits, so we'll see what he does. I forgot to mention I lost a wound before on the Ruin with one model. And I Dispel also Hereditary, try to cast it to kill my dog, but I Dispel that one with same amount of dice, so a bit lucky. Shooting, he did 2 wounds to my bruiser, panic check, failed that, 8, no reroll, and fled off the board, so yeah, punished. Close combat, yeah, he did 2 wounds to me, so kill 1 model, but with 3 model remaining, I just kill him outright, and I can post-combat pivot. I have then a couple of options. The fact that Sugulag is full health point and he has a counter charge in place that I cannot chaff didn't make me willing to charge him. And also there is secondary that I can grab and just move backwards and zone him, so that was going to be for me the safe choice. So that's what I did on the left. Middle, I charge with a bruiser on the flank on the Gremlins. Death Star charge here. I really like the fact that I can just post-combat pivot and chaff those guys, and then I'm sure, since they have no musician, that I can get them next turn. So I'm sure that Death Star gets to eat some of his unit and reducing 1 by 1 the amount of threat and chaff that he has. So I like, you can see the turn of event from his turn 3, he has less and less unit on the table. And yeah, I'm still quite strong on secondary. At some point I will get this one, so you really need to do something with Sugulag against them to get a tie on secondary at least, and then get some point. My giant with 1 wound remaining, I just move in front of him, be annoying, give him a front, so he has 4 attack on a 4+5 bluff. If he does nothing, I can just kill him and deny his magic. So I'm sure he wants nothing of that, and then I'm a threat to his flank, so I like to be annoying. Also make some march check for him. Mercs stay like that to shoot at Sugulag. Other than that, nothing too crazy, so I just use this unit to move them sideways to be within leadership, to just not fail a third check, and then just move everything quite away, so in case I fail it, he can always charge, but it's quite far away, and in case it doesn't, then if he breaks me, I can always counter charge with the Frost, or at least make him think twice before charge me. My Magic Face, I got Trial Face, and this time we were a bit joking about that. He said, yeah, you will do nothing, and I was like, I will do a lot, and I did 3 wounds to his Sugulag, so that was nice, him failing finally some war save. Wrath of God, he dispelled that. Shooting, I did 4 wounds, he saved 3 of them, so I did only 1 wound, so he has 2 wounds remaining, but now the game is really in my control with only 2 wounds remaining. And close combat, here I win by 4, but he passes his checks, so he's still here. Here I kill the chaff and just post-combat pivot. His turn, he charged with the engine, I pass my third check. I just reformed them to face me, didn't pick the secondary, obviously. Here I have secondary, move back Sugulag to deal with my giant, that is annoying. Fly over, I think he failed the march check with Sugulag, so I will still be in range to shoot him with my poison shot, so I might kill him next turn. Here we're still in combat, failed the march check with them as well, I guess, just move slightly forward. I had no charge, yeah, I had no charge basically, because I reformed in a way that he couldn't charge me. And Subarush just moved on the hill to be a threat. He gave me a charge for my Frost just to bait me, and these guys go away with the secondary. Magic Face, the engine, yeah, it was a 7 on 3 dice, but he got that off this time. Magic Face, Aston the Hour, kill my giant, yeah. I had no big opening next this turn, and I really wanted to shoot at Sugulag, try to finish him, so to dispel Twisted Effigy. And then I dispelled Twisted Effigy. He did D3, the second snipe against Tusker, but he did nothing. And then Hereditary against my cat, he did a 1-2 wound, so a bit unfortunate. But Gremlins are very fortunate, with only 1 guy remaining. He did 2 wounds to me, and did only 1, and I lose by 1. I pass my check, fortunately, so I'm okay. What else? Here I think I did a mistake. I was losing by 3, and I think, if I remember correctly, I took the leadership from the general, which I shouldn't have, because I prefer to break this turn rather than next turn, because he needed to think before chasing me. He could get counter charge. So I think that was a big mistake. I passed my check on a 6, but could have been on a 4, which is more likely to fail. My turn. So I charge. Heroes in combat. And I chaff them Yumidon because I have not enough time. Move them forward to shoot at Sugulag with 2 wounds remaining. These guys move back, stay within BSB range. Just try to zone him and take no risk and be far away from the snipes. And what else? Frosty just move back to zone. Yeah, just make sure that when I deal with them and I can reform, look at Sugulag and the engine that are the remaining threats, and then I have him ready to counter charge in the flank. So if he charge me, he's very likely to not come out of this alive. Magic phase. Trial phase got dispelled by his general. I got hereditary off on my Death Star. Shooting, I shoot at Sugulag, but he did 2 saves, so I did nothing. So I didn't do much with my poison shooting, only 1 wound until now. I kill the gremlins, kill the order and reform, and he kills me, but I flee. I manage to escape and he doesn't catch me. His turn, yeah, we stop here because at the beginning of his turn he just charged me, passes the redirect check on a 7, but then failed the charge on a 6 with stride against the frost. And I think that's enough for training, because we know that my Death Star can just eat him. I will eat that as well. I have 2 rounds of shooting to try to do another 2 wounds. So I think he's in quite big trouble, and the only thing that he can do is just cast some snipe to force a rerollable panic check that at some point I could possibly fail. But yeah, that's the only hope that he can have, I think. So I was we just said, yeah, it's a training game, that's enough. We saw enough what we wanted. So post-game analysis, plenty of things to say. Spoil, marching column, not starting. It's not an easy setup. I struggled a little bit to find the right deployment, and definitely my deployment was quite bad. I deployed like it was all the ground, not spoil of war. So yeah, it was a bad idea. It usually is a bad idea when you play a blocky list with less threat than the opponent to deploy centrally, because he has a way to exploit the flank and to escape. Game plan, yeah, should have been more patient. I was trying to push a bit forward turn 1, then he gets the chaff. I didn't manage at all. I had a very bad management from the gremlin, didn't see really what they could do, and that was my fault. Tusker turn 2, I think it was a too risky move. I could have stayed a couple of inches more back and still zone him, and that would have been enough for the moment. I had plenty of time to take secondary. Turn 3 demon, that was really a make or break charge, because you see after this failed charge it's more or less the end of the game. I mean, after that I did a couple of damage to Sugulag and there was almost no way that he could engage anymore, because he lost already too many threats, too many wounds also on the general. Giant, so yeah, he was a bit greedy with magic, decided not to secure the kill, try to cast more spell, and it backfired because the giant was able to get the imps, be very annoying in the back line, making him take march check and so on. Poison shot, they zone but didn't deliver this time, but yeah, I was sure that with another 2 turn I would have finished him. Bad management of gremlins. I still have to play more compact against MSU. I will show you what I should have done in deployment, and yeah, like I said at the beginning, magical setup of the demon is really insane. What I should have done instead is deploy like that, leave enough space to make sure that if gremlins enter the board they cannot chaff the Tusker. Put Tusker in front of this one, tribesman to push towards the hill and go towards the right or left depending on what happens. Mercenaries to like go for the center at some point with the support of the tribe star. Keep the frost mammoth. My left flank was already deployed. I could have put them in a 3 wide formation, and basically he had the choice to make whether he wants to go towards the left with Sugulag, towards the center, and then I think alone the chariot and imps are not enough to deal with 3 bruisers and a giant, so it could have been a bit annoying for him. So he needs to use Sugulag, cast some spell. This takes time, and then I think I'm strong enough. He has not enough combat power to deal with my 3 main unit, so I could have slowly moved forward and try to secure both at some point, both scenario, or at least draw it and take some points. So I think that would have been definitely a safer approach in a tournament. But I wanted to try out something different, but it was just a very bad idea if you consider that we were playing Spoil of War and that I had only one of my main scoring unit facing a spoil, and the rest just some darts out of bubble here. wasn't too smart for me. So I was lucky to, yeah, that it turned out to turn out the turn of event was quite good for me at the end. So that's it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching this training game. Next one will be first battle of Melum Lacum, so tournament game will be more serious. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye.